What the fuck is up, Juggalos? This is the Murder Mayhem Show. I'm the host, Mitchell, and my top story, the Gathering website is still fucked. Yes, juggalogathering.com, supposed to launch last Sunday, and as I understand it, it launched for just a little bit, but before long, juggalogathering.com crashed because of an overflow of traffic. And from what I've heard, any tickets and ballas sites that had been sold before it crashed were refunded. But either way, as I understand it, when the website relaunches, it will be a fresh start. So after it was delayed, or launched and then crashed and then delayed, it was supposed to be up the next day, Monday. And then Monday came and the shit still wasn't ready, so it was delayed until Tuesday. And when the website was delayed until Tuesday, which now we're at fucking Thursday, and as of this recording, it is not online yet. But when it was delayed until Tuesday, Fago lovers tweeted about it, and I tweeted a response and said, good, I hope they delay it for a whole other week just to upset people. I said it's not like the tickets aren't going to go up for sale eventually. And then Scotty replied to my tweet and he said, it's not about that. It's not fair to people that were first in line for ballas sites. And then I responded back to that and I said, yeah, it's still fair because when the website reopens on Tuesday, everyone will have an equal shot. So that was kind of my thinking at the time. However, for one thing, the website did not relaunch on Tuesday, so there goes that part of my argument. But also, honestly, I wasn't even really thinking about ballas passes when I made that comment. I will totally concede the point that, yeah, it sounds like a pain in the fucking ass. So if you're trying to buy ballas sites from the Gathering website, then I guess I sympathize with you. But all that aside, some very interesting Gathering news came out about a week ago, and that was Jumpsteady on the Juggalo show really kind of breaking down everything on the Gathering map. Kind of the way that I broke down everything on the Gathering map after the map came out, except I didn't know jack shit, and I made a lot of speculations. Jumpsteady, the man who knows, actually got on the Juggalo show, took a look at the map, broke down everything really, and the thing that really gets me amped up is those pavilions. Now, when I was speculating, on my speculation episode, I was saying that the pavilions sounded like a really cool chill spot. Like, if you need some shade, whatever, pop up into the pavilion, make some small talk with the Juggalos, smoke a bowl, eat some food, do whatever the fuck you got to do to chill. That was what I was thinking the pavilions were. Now, as it turns out to me, the reality of the pavilions is so much more awesome. And it's the thing that's really got me the most excited about this gathering and gatherings going forward, as many times as they choose to have it at that location. Like, according to Jumpsteady, the pavilions will be for rental at between $250 and $500 a piece, depending on things like the location or the size. He said some of them even have power going to them, but they're not advertising the power. That way, if someone doesn't get power, they don't get pissed off. But for the few who do get power, that'll be a nice extra benefit for them. Obviously, if they do have the gathering at this location repeatedly, then obviously everyone's going to know next year which ones have power and which don't. But for this year, it works. It's a mystery. If you get power, more power to you. No fucking pun intended. But the awesome thing about the pavilions, if that's like a cheap fucking price, by the way, $500 at the most for the best ones. And those are the ones that are like right by the main stage and shit, like the high traffic ones. That's like an opportunity to promote anything. Promote whatever your brand is, if that's what you're doing. If you're just renting it to have a fucking party, that fucking is the shit as well. The possibilities are really kind of endless. I think Jumpsteady described it as like a house without walls. Like, it's pretty much just like an open area. But man, can you imagine? We know how juggalos are. When they have a fucking opportunity to do something creative, they fucking blow it out of the water. Level 11 out of 10 every time. Fucking, there's going to be who knows what. I can't even imagine. Late night parties? Who knows? It's going to be 24 hours around the clock in those pavilions for some of them. You know, some people are just going to be having fucking 24-hour around the clock parties and shit in there. So, I don't know. The way that the Juggalo crews are getting bigger and bigger, like the Juggalo Yacht Club and like Informed Juggalos and Jugginati, they need to fucking jump on these pavilions, and I'm sure they have those in mind. I mean, why not? The Juggalo Yacht Club was doing events at the Gathering anyway, the wine mixer and shit, and hosting parties and stuff. So, for fuck's sakes, you don't even need to go through Psychopathic if you can just buy the pavilion. I mean, if you ask me, and I know nothing at all about your organization, but you're doing a great job, so don't take my word for it. You know best. But if I were Juggalo Yacht Club or any of those kind of groups, I would be fucking pavilion in it. The only reason I don't do it as Murder Mayhem Show is because I'm just one fucking guy, and I'm not trying to stay locked down at my pavilion for the whole fucking gathering. So the possibilities are endless, really. Juggalos are creative as fuck, so who knows? There's a lot of those pavilions too. There's like at least a dozen of them. I haven't looked at the map in a while, but there's enough to go around. People are going to have some wild ideas, so I think the big thing this year is going to be those pavilions. That's going to be a game changer. I'm definitely excited about that, so that's exciting. Gathering website still not launched. The last update on it was from March 19th. I'm looking at ICP's Twitter, and it says the countdown continues as we prepare freshness for you all. And then there's a tweet right before that says they'll be ready in a day or two. That's on March 19th, a day or two. So as you listen to my voice now, it could already be up. As I record, it is not up, but I am not sweating it. But if I were a Ballas person, I would probably be getting pretty pissed. So once again, I take back what I tweeted to Fago Lovers the other day when I said, who cares? You're right. Sounds like a pain. So, the next thing to talk about, big deal, and probably more important to people right now than the Gathering website. So, a few days ago now, recently, Monoxide did a stream on Facebook, as he often does. He does streams on Facebook a lot, and he just talks about all kinds of different shit all the time. And there was a stream recently that is causing a big stir. So people are talking about it. It's about an hour long, and he talks about ICP a lot, and it's kind of on the heels of Twiztid on Rude Jude, which I didn't really talk about on my show because last week I did a live stream instead of a regular podcast, and it just didn't come up. So I can't talk about this new thing, the stream, without going back and talking about Rude Jude first. So my perception of Twiztid on Rude Jude from, it's like 2 weeks old now. I heard a lot of stuff that I agreed with, and I heard a lot of stuff that I really did not agree with at all. And most everything that I did not agree with from Twiztid was everything they said about the march and the FBI and the gang report and all that kind of stuff. Just about everything Twiztid said about that or has ever said about that, I have really disagreed with in a big way. 100% pretty much. I almost never agree with anything they say about the march or the FBI or any of that. So this was no exception. They got into talking about the march and the FBI and shit, and they're always downplaying how important it is to be put on FBI list like that. Like, anytime the FBI list comes up or anything about the march or the gang report comes out, Twiztid is always downplaying it, saying like, well, it wasn't really a big deal. The FBI was just taking a look at us, trying to figure out if we were a gang, and then they decided we weren't, and nothing happened. That's usually how they play it, right? Is it not? Does that not sound like the Twiztid we know talking about the march pretty much anytime it comes up? Like, yeah, no, it wasn't really a big deal. It's being blown out of proportion. They don't really say Juggalos are a gang in it. They're just kind of asking. It's all done now. This is the way we always hear Twiztid talk about the march. I totally, completely do not agree with that at all. Nobody can tell me that being listed in a fucking official FBI report as a gang isn't a big deal. No one can fucking convince me that that is not a big deal, because it is. Monoxide on Rude Jude went into this point about like, well, people were acting like they were being persecuted as juggalos, but then we looked into it and found out that they're all just heroin addicts. If you remember, you know what line I'm talking about if you listen to that Rude Jude thing. Here's my thing on that. I don't give a fuck if there's been no incidents, which, by the way, there has been, because we've seen the documented proof. People getting fired with the word juggalo on the documents, like making no other excuses, just saying fired because juggalo. We've seen that. We know that's happening. So right away, I call bullshit. But even if nothing did happen, even if Monoxide was right and this whole thing was just blown up and nothing ever happened, I don't give a fuck. You still can't fucking put juggalos on the gang list like that, even if nothing happened. It's still not right. And it doesn't say Malenko Boys or Hatchet Riders or anything else. It says juggalos, which is another thing that I've heard Twiztid and others comment on. It's like, this report, if you look at it, and it's easy to find, just Google 2011 FBI gang, it'll come up pretty easily. It does not ask the question, are juggalos a gang? No, it says juggalos are a gang. It says it over and over and over again. And it barely even mentions ICP, which is a very dishonest approach. If somebody who didn't know what juggalos were asked you what a juggalo was, don't you think ICP would be more than just a little footnote to that explanation? Because that's all it says in the gang report. It's literally a footnote in the report that says, traditionally, juggalos listen to ICP sometimes, which is like intentionally misleading to people, because probably the most important thing, if you're fairly explaining juggalos, to say would be, some juggalos are involved in some criminal bullshit and some are just fans of this rap group ICP. Like, how do you not include that in the main body of the report? You relegate that to a fucking stupid ass footnote. So the report is horse shit. The report says juggalos, names juggalos. When it says juggalos, that means you and me and Twiztid and ICP and everyone that reps juggalo. This isn't the fucking 216 Hatchet Boy Rida Ninjas gang. Because, yeah, that shit does exist. We know that shit does exist. That's not what's in the report. It says juggalos. So, let's get that shit fucking straightened out. FBI report calls juggalos gang members, and the evidence it uses is incredibly fucking stupid. And this is no bullshit, and you can look this up easily and follow along with me at home. In the gang report, when it talks about juggalos being gangs, it gives a link to a story that you can click on and read this news report. This is the kind of stuff that the FBI is basing the gang label on, is news reports like this one that they link. And it talks about a story where a juggalo and another guy are out at night, and the other guy pulls out a gun and shoots a man and his girlfriend. And the guy that did the shooting had a Hatchet Man on his wallet, but he told the cops, I'm not even a juggalo anymore. But he was with a juggalo. And the juggalo that he was with didn't do jack shit. It's in the story. The story tells you the guy that was with him that actually was wearing the Hatchet Man shit, he had like a Hatchet Man hat and a Hatchet Man charm or some shit. He wasn't even charged with shit because he was not accused of doing anything. The guy that did the shooting had a Hatchet Man wallet, but he said, I'm not a juggalo anymore. This is just my wallet. And that is one of two stories that the FBI refers to in the gang report to justify calling juggalos a gang. Are you listening to my words to your ears? It's stupid as fuck. I promise you, if you look at these reports and everything, it's stupid. And it is a big deal for the FBI to call you a gang. Nobody can tell me that it's not. And even if it's not, that's why the march is important, to stop it before it becomes a big deal. If you think it's not a big deal to be called a gang, all the more reason to have the march. Stop it before it gets bad. Because now that the Juggalos have had the march, and it was a massive, massive success, this will always be brought up anytime anyone even thinks about calling Juggalos a gang again. Let's say that there was no march, and then 10 years from now, the FBI wanted to do it again, only this time get real fucking serious with it and really start fucking arresting people just for having tattoos. That shit could happen at any time. But now, everybody knows now. The media knows, the FBI knows. If you call Juggalos a gang, they'll take that shit seriously enough to prove to you that they're not. So, yeah, I think the march was incredibly important and a huge victory and totally necessary. And nobody can tell me that being called a gang by the FBI isn't a big deal. Even if there are no victims, which there were, even if there weren't, it's not right at all. And I went to the march, by the way, so that fucking shows you I know what I'm talking about. Now, that is the long and short of everything that I disagree with Twiztid on about the march. But the other thing that captured people's imaginations with the Twiztid on Rude Jude was when they got to talking about the Eminem beef. And there's been a lot of talk online about, did Twiztid lie about the Eminem beef? Did they deny that they ever had anything to do with it? I think this is getting really misconstrued because I listened to that interview and I heard Monoxide say that they were involved in the beef. That's what I heard, so I didn't really see where the lie was. And then Monoxide put out this new stream the other day where he says the same thing right from the start. He's like, everyone's saying I'm a liar and I don't see what the lie is. And then that just spun off into this whole thing in the stream of like Monoxide talking about how there's nothing they could say or do that some people will ever believe. Some people will just call them liars no matter what. And there was a lot to unpack in that stream. And the stream is about an hour long. And I recommend that everybody listen to it. And a lot of people already have listened to it. A lot of people are talking about it. Some people say that Monoxide's full of shit. Some people seem to be sympathizing with what he's saying. I agree with, I think, nearly everything in that stream. I probably need to go back and watch it again, in fact, just to fucking really get it down. But there was nothing in that stream that really made me jump up and say, bullshit. For the most part, I was pretty much right there with him. There's a few things of note that need to be brought up and talked about. One of them is the story that Monoxide tells about Violent J and Shaggy and Blaze was there. And apparently there was a time on a Dark Lotus tour where Monoxide was with Blaze and he got a call from Madrox that he should come back to the bus, and they come back to the bus. Violent J is fucking tripping balls he doesn't really say in the stream what Jay was fucked up on, but Jay was fucked up, started making crazy accusations. If you heard the stream, then you already know the story. If you haven't watched the stream, you should go watch it. Violent J makes crazy accusations. Then before you know it, Violent J punches Madrox in the back of the head. Shaggy punches Madrox. So after that, Monoxide says it was always a little bit different after that. And when he told the story on the stream, it was this big sense of like, okay, so this is the type of stuff that you haven't been talking about. This whole time, Monoxide's been saying, yeah, you know, you guys don't know everything. You guys don't know everything. If only you knew everything, then you would understand us a little more. That's the kind of talk that Twiztid's been saying for a few years now. And when he told that story, it was like, okay, so this must be part of everything. When you say you guys don't know everything, it's stories like this. And the story is not a good look for ICP. Makes them both look pretty stupid. Makes Violent J obviously not look good at all. And I believe the story completely. I mean, I don't even know what the reason to doubt it would be. It sounds believable. Monoxide says everybody was there. You know, ICP, Twiztid, Blaze, plus a bunch of cronies, I believe Monoxide said. So there's plenty of witnesses. There would be no reason to lie about a story that has that many witnesses. If someone wants to come out and say that he's lying, then go for it. But until someone challenges the story, then I have no problem believing it. And it doesn't surprise me, the story, so it doesn't change my opinion of anybody. Like, okay, it's probably for the best that you got this story out there. I really do think that it was for the best that Twiztid, or Monoxide at least, threw something out there. Like, just something to prove to people that there's shit that we don't know about. Like, it had to be said. And if it really happened, ICP can't get mad about him telling the story. Because fucking, if the shit happened, the shit happened. So I think it's good that Monoxide threw out a story like that. But it doesn't make me look down on ICP, because I kind of always figured that type of stuff was happening. Maybe not stuff exactly like that, like ICP literally fist fighting Jamie Madrox, but I think we all always figured that there was some kind of fuck shits happening. I mean, that's just life. So I sympathize with everybody in this story. It is fucked up that happened. That's a fucked up story, especially for Madrox. That's a fucked up story. I get why Twiztid would be pissed at ICP after that, even for years. Like, that's a pretty fucked up wound. So I sympathize with them, and I also sympathize with ICP, because we've all done stupid shit. Violent J is all fucked up on pills or whatever and started acting like a fucking idiot to his friends. I've done it. Not on pills, but I've been all fucked up and a fucking idiot to everybody. There's no group of people that I've never been a fucking idiot towards, especially when I'm all fucked up or have been in the past drinking and whatnot. So it's just part of life, and it sucks, and it does not make ICP look too good, but I get it. We're all just fucking humans doing our fucking best. That's what I get from Twiztid more than anything. It's like, I feel bad for them sometimes, because I really don't think there's as much lying or deceit going on as much that people want to fucking act like there is. I think it's just like they're all doing what they think is best. Every time someone gets a little detail wrong, if Twiztid says the wrong thing or ICP says the wrong thing, we as fans are so quick to jump on it and say, well, actually, this, and this. You know, if someone gets a date wrong or a fact wrong, a figure wrong, a name wrong, juggalos are fucking quick to jump on it like, dude's lying. He's lying. He's a liar. When I think a lot of it is like, I think they just don't know their own history as well as we do, because we fucking study the shit. I don't expect ICP or Twiztid to get every detail about everything they ever say correct because they're just human. It's fucking hard. There's a lot on their plates. And I don't think there's a lot of malice happening. So if you want to disagree with someone, and I've made it clear now, I disagree with Twiztid on a lot of things. But hating them is a choice. So if you want to be mad and hate a motherfucker and spend time talking shit when you could be doing your own shit, that's a choice. You don't have to be mad, I promise. Try letting it go, because I promise it's a choice. You don't have to be mad about it, even if you disagree with them. So there you have it. That's enough of that. Moving on now to the next item. Lyte has opened his own web store, Monstar.store, full of all of the Lyte t-shirts and hoodies and shit you could ever ask for. My question is this: where is the music? Put some music on Monstar.store and I'm fucking in. I'll buy that shit on a CD or a digital download. I would love to support Lyte. Don't particularly want to buy a bunch of shirts and shit for an artist that has one EP, as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to tell me that he has shit before Psychopathic, I'm sure he does. If you ask me, he has one EP. And I like it. I like Psychopathic Monstar. It's a good album. I want to hear more shit. And if you put out more shit and I like it, then I'll buy shirts and shit. So my input is please put some music on your store. That would really promote it, I think. God knows what the holdup is with his music, but I'm fucking waiting for that new Lyte shit. I know I'm going to like it. I already know I am. I know myself very well that way. When Lyte puts out an album of full length, I'm going to like it. It's up to him to fucking put the shit out, though. I know he's working on it. Don't even tell me that he's working on it, because I know he's working on it. It's just to put a store up before you even have an LP. I didn't much love that look, but believe me, I'm still a big Lyte supporter. I would love to buy some new music from him as soon as it comes out. Now, the implication of the store also is, did he leave Psychopathic? People always want to ask that anytime anyone does anything out the label. It's always the first question. Did he leave Psychopathic? I'm still going with my anybody killer rule, which is on psychopathicrecords.com, it says Lyte is an artist, and on Lyte's Facebook page, it says Psychopathic Recording Artist. So until one of these two camps comes up and says, no, Lyte is not on the label, then Lyte's on the label. So don't tell me he got fired, because last time we went through this, it was proven definitively that I was right when ABK said it out of his own mouth that he's got some new shit coming out on Psychopathic. It's the exact same argument. So currently, as of this recording, I'm still saying Lyte's on the label. I guess time will tell if anything changes on that end, but I just want that new music. So peep out Monstar.store if you want to rep for Lyte, buy some Lyte shit. It's got some cool looking shit over there. Now, next thing, FFF tour flyer put out by ICP on their social media. Fury Fest 2019, they're calling it. And the flyer doesn't have dates on it, but says performances by Insane Clown Posse, Mushroom Head, DJ Paul, Ritz, Mac Lethal, Ouija Mac, and Kissing Candace. And I don't give a fuck about Kissing Candace, although I think I did see them at the Gathering once, and it was a really awesome performance. Just not my type of music. Mushroom Head, again, puts on an awesome show. Seen them multiple times, but they don't really have a lot of songs that I really fuck with heavy, so I've mostly got my eye on DJ Paul, Ritz, Mac Lethal, Ouija Mac, and of course ICP, but fuck. DJ Paul, Ritz, Mac Lethal, and Ouija Mac are four of my favorites, so fuck. And Mushroom Head, I have no problem watching Mushroom Head perform. Kissing Candace, I honestly wouldn't give a shit if they weren't there, but it's all good. I'm not hating. I know people like them. So that's the shit. There has already been some dates announced for Fury Fest, and several of them are in driving distance to me. So I will definitely be at Fury Fest one way or another. That shit will be hot. And I'll end with this Murder Mayhem Show poll. Yes, this was asked 2 weeks ago. The poll ran for a week. I did not do a proper podcast last week, so I did not get to the poll, but we're getting into it now. I asked, which is the best ICP EP of the 90s? And I gave the options of Dog Beats, Beverly Kills, Terror Wheel, or Tunnel of Love. I kind of figured that Dog Beats would be taking the beating on this one, but between Beverly Kills, Terror Wheel, and Tunnel of Love, it could have been anybody's game. And the final results, with 224 votes, are 42% said Terror Wheel, 26% said Beverly Kills, 24% said Tunnel of Love, and 8% said Dog Beats. Yes, Terror Wheel is the winner by a pretty wide margin. Beverly Kills barely ekes out above Tunnel of Love by a few percents, and then Dog Beats bringing up the rear. It could have been anybody's game. I could have seen all three Sideshow EPs there taking an even split. Honestly, it's like Beverly Kills, Terror Wheel, Tunnel of Love. Those are all perfect 10s. If you ask me, flawless albums. Dog Beats is the shit too, but I don't know if it can hang with those others. So if I had to pick one, I usually go with Beverly Kills. Between those three, I usually say Beverly Kills is my favorite. I love every track on there, but the same can be said about the other songs. So I don't really have a meaningful argument for it. It's just, I don't know. Some of those Beverly Kills songs just barely take it over the edge, if you ask me, but seems like the majority of people going with Terror Wheel on that. So thanks for your input on that. I am now going to be asking another question. Yes, new question. This is going to be less of a poll. This is more of just a discussion. I'll put this up on Twitter for people to weigh in on Twitter. Please, if you're answering the question, then find the tweet on Twitter and reply to it. Don't just tweet at me or I might not see it. So for your own good, I'm telling you, reply to the thread on Twitter at Murder Mayhem Guy. And the new question is, what are some ICP songs that are not on a Joker's card that you think could have or should have made it to a Joker's card? What are some non-Joker's card ICP songs that you think could or should have been Joker's card quality? We'll assume that they would end up on whatever Joker's card came out of that era. So let me know at Murder Mayhem Guy. I will retweet the tweet from time to time to try to keep it near the top of my timeline. We will talk about that on the next episode. I want to give a few plugs. Last week, I did my Murder Mayhem Show live stream, and it was very successful. I liked it a lot. People in the chats were saying shit. We went over a lot of topics, things that the Juggalos wanted to hear about. Great times. Such a success that it will be happening again. Not on that same time. That was a Saturday. It will be happening again more frequently a lot. That's all I'm going to say for now until I really figure it out. But peep that out. If you go to my YouTube, it's still up there. It's a MMS live stream, March 16th. You can still watch that. It's about an hour long. I was also on Tales from the Lotus podcast the other day. You can watch that if you want. I just did some time on Stonehenge's YouTube. So peep out the YouTube channel Stonehenge 420. I was on that shit. We talked about some shit. And I've got some other stuff in the pipeline coming up. I'll announce that when we get a little bit closer. I think that just about wraps this up. So come peep out murdermayhemshow.com. You'll get all the links to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the fuck. There's blogs, podcasts, of course, memes, good shit. Just poke around. You'll find some fat juggalo shit to fuck with. And until next time,